I was born in Matamoros, Texas, and 8 months later my parents moved me and my older sister to Belgrade, Serbia, where we lived for 5 years, and then had to evacuate because of the Serbo-Croatian War, and we moved to Maribor, Slovenia, where my parents were church planners for 15 years, and I moved after that to Germany for 4 years for high school at a boarding school, and now I'm in Lynchburg, Virginia, studying at Liberty University. I really miss the food in Europe, mostly because everything was just so fresh coming off the market, and it was just such a cultural thing, especially among like Slovene families, and like just going over to people's houses, they would literally spend all day telling you about what they made that day and how they made it, and how it's like very generational, and how all the recipes were like from great grandparents, and it was just such a social thing to talk about food and eat all the food and try all the food. So I just feel like being able to go and just socialize with people and like gain relationships and like eat their food was really great. I feel like there are a lot of advantages from living overseas, and one of them is that I just feel like I'm not scared to step out of my bubble and try new things, whether it be like food or going up to strangers sometimes, and like just learning new cultures or learning new things about people. I am very comfortable with that, and I don't know, it's just amazing to be able to just see the world and see different places and experience different, I don't know, different lifestyles in general, because so many people, like, you just don't know about other people's lives until you actually go up and talk to them or see what they see through their own eyes. I don't know, it's just cool. I feel like one of the hardest things about growing up overseas and growing up as a missionary kid is that feeling of never really knowing what to call home, because when you're in Europe, people ask you where you're from, and you'll say I'm American, but I grew up here, and then when you're in America, you'll say the same thing, but it's more like I'm American, but I feel more European than American, so it's just that weird in-between feeling. But I feel like the older I've gotten, the easier it's become to just realize that you're not really, as Christians, you're not really supposed to have a place here on earth, and earth is not your set home, and that maybe it's good to feel comfortable in certain places, but it might just be best to live where you are in the moment and not really care. Something that was pretty crazy that my parents and my whole family had to go through was back in 1999, when the Serbo-Croatian War was just starting, or had already been going on. My parents felt like God was telling them to leave the country and to go to a new place, just a whole transition, but it was during that hectic time in the country. So we packed up the house and we're going to try to leave quietly, but some of the neighborhood teenagers had found out that we were going to try to leave, so they stayed out till midnight in front of our house playing basketball, and I guess my parents didn't felt kind of uneasy about it, so we just waited around for a long time, and then once they had left, my parents packed up our long van, and my dad made a bed in the back of the car for all of us girls, which we all thought was amazing, because we were like, oh, we get to sleep in the car tonight, and being so young, we didn't really get what was going on, so it just felt like a cool adventure. But my parents, we drove to the border, and thankfully when we got out of the country pretty easily, but that night they had started bombing Belgrade right when we had left, so. My name is Lydia Bell, and I am third.